You know, when I first predicted this, we were going to be doing this episode, I predicted it was going to be under better circumstances, but here we are. The Ravens are out of the playoffs, capping off probably one of the best seasons ever, but with such a horrible game. But nonetheless, we are fair media here. We're going to talk about it. Let's do it.
Bitch, sit down. Be humble. Sit down.
Yeah, let's talk about it. How about that start for the Ravens in the game, huh? Why don't we just go in a linear fashion here from start to finish? How did it start for the Ravens since you were in the stadium for this game?
I don't know. It started at 4 o'clock. Me and Ross getting drunk as shit outside the stadium. And we were like, yo, it's going to be great. We're out here tailgating. We're having a great time. Weather's great. Nah, son, it was too good to be true. Look, let me try to tell you. When it is 70 degrees in January in Baltimore, two things that tells me. One, something's going to go wrong because the weather's just too nice. And also, global warming is a real thing, people. Take it seriously. That being said, oh my God. Like that first drive, Ravens defense, I mean, the stadium was loud. I mean, we're talking loud. And, you know, we stopped them. We held them. We're like, oh shit, here we go. Typical Ravens. Nope. Followed by a turnover. We turned the ball over. I believe it was an interception. Was that? That was the interception, the first one. Yep. And you're like, oh crap, we can't pass against them. And that was scary. And then they scored. Ryan Tannehill passing touchdown. Followed by another turnover on downs. Going for it on fourth. Thank you, Harbaugh. Great call, right?
Well, and let me interrupt you for a second because with that going for it on fourth down, so my cousin at the beginning of this year converted from being a Dolphins fan to a Ravens fan.
Wow, that didn't take long.
And his perspective was that it came down to bad coaching, the whole thing. He says the fourth down going for it was stupid, and he chalked up the whole game to coaching. I think it's a little simplistic of a view, but that's what he says.
There were so many things that, you know, could be said about this. For example, I have went on record many times saying that benching the starters during that Week 17 Steelers game was a horrible idea, people. Let me tell you why. Because straight up, just like that, you've virtually given off most of the starters, what almost a month off? Mm-hmm. I mean,
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Mark Ingram was already out for injury in that Week 16 game. So that's already virtually, he's been out a month. The Ravens, who are red hot, I mean, they were firing on all cylinders. You virtually put the brakes on them. Now, that's on the coaches, in my opinion, because they did so good, because they were 14-2, that earned them that first round bye. That's enough of a break you should have, honestly, in my opinion. Everybody's like, well, what about injuries? Again, I don't know what the statistic is for it. You know, I didn't have time to look for it, but can injuries happen? Yeah, any given Sunday. That's football. Anytime you sit up with the pads on, you run the risk of getting injured. Right. But I can't remember how many teams that have played their starters Week 17 going to the playoffs have actually been injured. And again, most of the time, a lot of teams do bench their starters. But with a team like the Ravens, I honestly was very disappointed that they benched them because they came out last Saturday looking flat. Simple as that, you know?
I mean, okay, but if a serious injury to Jackson or something
then they're
happened,
fucked.
then
I mean,
what would everyone
screwed.
be saying? They'd be
They're
saying
screwed.
the coach's
But
staff's
then again,
idiots for putting them out there.
But then again, you're playing a game of what ifs. I mean, at the end of the day, you're playing a game of what if, and what we saw happen Saturday was the result, in my opinion, of a team out of sync, uninspired, and outcoached. Mike Vrabel, honestly, will go down as probably one of the best head coaches. I think when all is said and done, he's already proved that he's 2-0 in the playoffs. He beat the Patriots and the Ravens his first 2 playoff games.
Yep.
Outcoached them. He outcoached his own former coach.
He did.
And then he outcoached probably John Harbaugh, who is probably one of the NFL geniuses to revamp an offense around a player like Lamar Jackson to run to one of the best seasons easily the Ravens have ever had. I don't know. Outcoached, uninspired, came out flat. I mean, it was just sad. The defense, unable to stop the run. Derrick Henry is a man amongst boys. At least he was Saturday. I mean, he's built like a middle linebacker. And we're not talking about one of these small safety-looking middle linebackers. We're talking about like one of the big boys from back in the early 2090s.
Well, let's be honest here. How many people outside of Titans fans predicted Titans in the
Not a
conference
goddamn
championship?
person.
So I think they came into this with this huge chip on their shoulders. No one believes in us going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
let's just rock the shit out of these teams we're playing and show them what we're made of. And I think that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, but, I could talk about this all day, all night, and I could cry about the Ravens. From here till kingdom come. But I'm going to do something we have never done here at LitTube before. We got our first ever call-in, and it's my boy Nigel, who, if you're from Anne Arundel County, you know who Nigel Pierce is. And he is the biggest Titans fan I know. And I had to eat a lot of humble pie from him because I talked a lot of shit on his wall, on all his posts. And my notifications have just been Nigel just hitting me with, I told you so, this, that, and the other. So without further ado, we got my boy Nigel on the phone, the biggest Titans fan I know. In fact, probably one of only 3 Titans fans I know. But I've talked enough shit, and so is Justin here. Serve up the pie, Nigel. Feelings about winning. You guys did the impossible.
I requested to be included on this podcast because I felt like, my Titans were extremely underrepresented. You know what I'm trying to say. And right off the bat, Gerald is, spewing nonsense. Did you know that the Titans, for this upcoming AFC Championship game, that we are the largest visiting crowd attending another team's game? 25% of the fans that are going to be at the Kingdom, as the Chiefs like to call it, are going to be Titans fans. Did you know that? But,
I did not know that.
Fans, nobody likes the Titans.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, outside of the Titans fan base, I don't think I would have predicted, number one, you guys beating the Patriots and then beating the Ravens. I'm not going to lie, dude. Wow.
Well, the biggest problem is that we are so nobody watches us. Like Skip Bayless, for instance, he was talking about Johnny Smith, who scored that spectacular first touchdown. He was saying, the third string tight end. Johnny Smith, is our second string. Technically, he's our first and a half string tight end. He's the successor to Delaney Walker, who will be a borderline Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. Skip Bayless is sitting there saying, he's the third string, and then Anthony Ferkser, I don't even know the guy, blah, blah. No one watched us. People said that we didn't have a passing game. Ryan Tannehill led the NFL with yards per attempt by a crazy margin. Crazy. I want to say it was close to breaking the NFL record or maybe even tied one. We have a rookie wide receiver, A.J. Brown, who rightfully should have been Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm not even going to get on that subject. He was robbed. I mean, he had 52 catches for over 1,000 yards, averaging 20.3 yards per catch. That's crazy.
That's insane.
That does not happen,
No.
He's a speedster. Not to mention that, half of those yards came from week 7 and on, because we all know, and, I love the guy to death, Marcus Mariota, love that dude.
Dude, he's on the first bus out of Tennessee. Let's just say that.
It's funny. I started an article. I actually posted in the Titans forum the other day saying, is there any way we can re-sign him as a backup? Because we love him.
Yeah.
The fan base, it's a very controversial subject. Half the fan base hates him, and half of them, like myself, we absolutely love him.
Yeah.
But I would definitely shed a tear when he leaves.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So, we're talking the Titans game, and, it was one of those games where I think, and I even said it on air, I tend to hesitate saying it because I'm very superstitious, but I said, there's no way the Titans are going to win. There's no way. I didn't count it. I honestly, and I'll be fair, I didn't do my homework on Tannehill, and here I am. He threw the first 2 touchdown passes. We were down.
We are never on TV. Literally, you know how I watch Titans games? And our Titans group, because they never play us on national TV unless, we get a Thursday night game against Jaguars. I'm only able to watch Titans games because people that live in Tennessee, they live stream it in the Titans fan group. That's why I'm able to watch Titans group. I have to watch them on my phone or my laptop, whatever. That's ridiculous. And then, people don't even know, the last 4 years, we have not had a losing record. We've gone 9-7, 4 straight years. That's a whole class of high schoolers that never witnessed, in their high school career, the Titans have a losing record.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that unless you were a fan.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive. But here's the thing. You guys are in the AFC Championship game. There's no way that you're under the radar anymore. I mean, people recognize Mike Vrabel. He outcoached his former coach, and then he outcoached John Harbaugh. And there's something to be said about that. And going into the Chiefs game, I think the biggest thing is clock control. If you can keep Pat Mahomes on the clock, you guys are going to the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Listen, there's an old saying in football. There's one type of football that travels anywhere, running the football and playing good defense. You know, I wish that we weren't still under the radar, but, you know, when we beat you guys, Nick Wright off of Fox Sports, first things first, tweeted, "Oh, congratulations to the Chiefs for going to the Super Bowl." He's been talking reckless all week. You know, anyone that's Chiefs fan, I thought that they'd be humble because we've beaten them. Andy Reid, first of all, is like 1-8 against the Titans, of which we've beaten them 5 straight times, including 3 out of the 5 straight times in the Kingdom. Yeah, you know, and you know, each time they've jumped out to a lead, and then some funky stuff happened to where we were able to come back and win. And you think they'd be scared, but they're like, oh, you know, we could rest some more players for the Super Bowl. You know, it's just ridiculous. But you know what, Vrabel, you know, a Belichick disciple. You know, he played for Belichick. You know, he coached under Bill O'Brien, who actually coached under Belichick as well. He's gonna have our boys fired up. We're a tough team, as you saw. I mean, last week.
I was at the game Saturday. You know, like I said, it was a great experience being there for a divisional playoff game. I mean, I went to my first playoff game last year. I got to go to a divisional one this year. So it was super awesome. Of course, now I'm 0-2 going to games, so maybe I should stop going to them. But I mean, you saw on the sideline the difference. The Ravens sideline, very flat, unfortunately. And that's very unlike the Ravens, especially this season when they've been kicking the dog shit out of every team they've played, virtually. And then there's the Titans sideline. And you know what? They looked alive. They looked hyped. They were like, you know what? We got our backs against the wall. We have nothing to lose. And y'all went out there and handled business. Derrick Henry, in my opinion, will be one of the best running backs when all is said and done. That man is a flat-out monster and made our defense look like virtually Glenn Burney High's defense back in 2007.
That is really disrespectful.
Mad disrespect right there. I mean, it's true, and I can admit that. I mean, I talked enough shit on the internet. I can admit when I'm wrong. And sure enough, me and Justin, we're both wrong. But here's the thing. I think the key, like I said, the key to winning the game, you guys running the ball, you guys do it well. In Tannehill, second breath of life here in Tennessee. It's sad how bad Miami was that this boy can be this good for Tennessee, and you guys are here now. I mean, I think you guys struck gold getting him in the offseason.
If you would have told me 3 months ago that Ryan Tannehill was going to be my savior, I would have been like, what drug are you on? And where can I get it? You know, like, not seriously, no. But I'm saying, like, you know, he was a bust.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know, what was it, like 2 or 3 years ago, he actually did have a really good season, but then he got hurt, and Matt Moore had to fill in for him against Pittsburgh, and then he got, like, that real, remember Bud Dupree smacked him on the sideline? It was a nasty hit.
Yep.
So, you know, I knew he could do it because my Titans, he beat the hell out of us in the first game of the season that year. I was like, damn, I was talking shit, and I lost a lot of money on that game, something around like $400 when I was in the military. Yeah. It was bad. I had to do a payment plan to pay that debt off.
Jesus. Well, hopefully going into the AFC Championship, your bets will be in order because at least we predicted here, and I think me and Justin both did on our third and goal episode. We had the Titans going to the Super Bowl, honestly. I was salty. I'm not going to lie. And, we're going to wrap this up real quick. I'm just going to say it quick, and then I'm going to give you a few minutes, a couple of seconds to say your closing piece. But I was salty. Saturday night coming home, half drunk from Fed Hill. I was pissed. Sunday, pissed. Monday, I started to say, you know what? Titans deserve it. They played better. They outplayed us, and here we are. So my prediction, Titans going to the Super Bowl, and who knows what happens from there, honestly.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, but, I am the most unhumble Titans fan on this planet, and, on the East Coast at least. And I'm scared. Pat Mahomes is a bad boy. Travis Kelce is a bad man. The only reason why we beat them in the playoffs 2 years ago is because Jonathan Cyprien did a really dirty shot and knocked them out of the game. They were on their way to blowing us out. It was like 21-3 at halftime.
Yeah.
But, if we run the ball, the Chiefs defense is extremely overrated. If we can run the ball and control the clock, keep Pat on that sideline, cold, then we have a huge shot. Our defense, we have a no-name defense. You remember at Old Mill, we used to call ourselves the no-man defense. We were small. They always counted us out.
They really were.
You remember, I think the key is, do you remember your senior year when we went to Arundel? They had blown us out first game of the season,
Yep.
and we were scared. Like, it was nothing but, like, every game we relaxed, we talked. Remember that mood that day?
Yeah.
It was a cold, dark day.
It was cold
It
as
was
shit.
nothing but business. Like, we just went through our walkthroughs. If my Titans, if they had that mentality, which they have the last 2 weeks,
Yeah.
we're gonna shock the world.
I mean, they're the true underdogs here. And like I said, again, it's not a guarantee, but the way you guys played Saturday, that was a team definitely determined to make a statement. And Mike Vrabel, I liked him actually on the Patriots. He was one of the few Patriots players I actually liked. So, hey.
I didn't like him.
Well, you better like him now.
Yeah, I love him now. I didn't even like when they hired him initially, but I'm all about Vrabel. He tried to trade Henry last year.
True.
Halfway through the season.
Yeah,
That deal on lose was the answer.
Well, I'm glad that, I'm not glad that he kept him. I wish you guys had got rid of Henry. But I know the Titans fan base, those unsung heroes out there, they're definitely happy that Henry's with you. And look, we're going to talk in about a couple of weeks, man. Win or lose, we're going to bring you back on, okay?
Hopefully it's a dub.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on the show. We'll talk to you in a few weeks, man.
Hey,
Yep.
Appreciate the call. Your co-host,
Justin.
you're a real man. You know what I'm talking about.
I know. We already put him on blast for the hey. But hey, man,
Dude.
thank you. Thank you for coming
Take
on.
care, you guys.
Take care, bro. So, yeah, season came to an end. It's a tough one to eat, but it is what it is. Looking ahead, though, quick look ahead. Both our coordinators actually are going to be back, so not a lot's going to change. I think draft will be big for receivers, pass rushers, and interior offensive linemen. And again, CCB, we're here all year. We'll be covering all of that, especially this offseason. I'm really excited for this offseason because it's the first one that we don't have to worry about losing too many people.
And whatever coaches you bring in, they should have experience playing on a team that knows how to come from behind, because that would have been useful this past week.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Greg Roman will come back and, hopefully he'll be back to, and have a better offensive scheme against that, because playing from behind doesn't look like it's our thing, but it is what it is. Nonetheless, we are still Ravens fans. I will be putting out another podcast to add on to this show. We did run out of time. So I will be talking about the rest of things I want to talk about later this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We got another episode of Split Decision coming this week, as well as an episode of Third and Goal out already. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for tuning in. Mike, Justin, and Gerald, take care.